Hello and welcome back. Uh, Hope everyone had a nice Halloween, etc. Uh, Tonight I want to talk about, actually share my opinion regarding the subject of the manga X anime, or in comparison to the animations. And I want to talk about the countryside old man becomes a sword master, or I think it's a sword saint in the official the more literal translation. But the official English release, it's the title from Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman, and then something else, which was animated a couple of seasons ago. I think it was last season or 2 seasons ago, maybe. And I was reading again this title because it showed up in the scanlators that I follow. I used to read it a long time ago, but the novel is like way ahead, if I'm not mistaken, and the manga moves slowly. So the anime actually went far and beyond the manga already, at least so far, from what we're getting in the official English release. And what I want to talk about are the differences that, in my opinion, sort of affect uh, character construction. I wouldn't say storytelling because it doesn't affect the story that much, at least nothing major that I have witnessed so far. However, it does affect the character building, as in like the depth of the character. So in the anime, they left out a bunch of scenes that are drawn in the manga, which are really good scenes, by the way. For example, when Beryl he goes to the blacksmith and he goes. Actually, let me go through chronological order. When Lysandra and Lucia are both fighting. Now I'm seeing Lucia and Lysandra because it keeps changing the name, like the official translation and the scanlations and all that. And I usually think that the scanlations are actually uh, better because obviously it's a bunch of people that actually do speak Japanese, and it's usually people who are from Japanese origins that sort of translate these things, as far as I know. So anyway, Serena, Lysandra, and Lucia, they are both helping Beryl like find a home, right? The famous inn scene, and in the anime, they just have these like back and forth kind of argument, and the typical slapstick slash comedy kind of moments where you see the lightning crackling between both characters and their faces really fed up or pissed and etc., glaring at each other. However, in the manga, they were actually ready to go at it uh, at the table, basically. They were ready to draw swords. However, they knew that if they tried anything, Beryl would have stopped them. And it shows in the manga. The manga that has this really cool, panels that show these interactions between the characters that were not animated. Which again, it's kind of sad because it shows the depth of uh, how much of a master of a proficient swordsman Beryl is. And in the animation, you don't get to see that. And the other scene that I think that it's very remarkable, in my opinion, is when they are fighting the griffin, the griffin, whatever you want to call it. The basically the named monster. I think Xenos something. And he, when the griffin is going to attack the adventurers, it it stops and it sort of hesitates because it feels Beryl right there, which is another scene that it's a very cool panel in the manga because Barrel, it feels like these tendrils, as if Barrel were basically a kraken trying to drag it in, and these things are not shown in the anime again, which is really cool because it explains other things later, like when when the adventurers shake hands with Barrel. I don't remember if this happened either. I don't think so. I don't think in the anime, because again, the anime leaves a lot of these things out. But when the party that they are, the Beryl and Lysandra are, they are scouting, right? They are basically escorting. My mistake. They are escorting, right? Protecting so that they can complete the dungeon thing, etc., and all that. One of the adventurers, basically the rogue slash scout kind of guy. I think it's called the Seeker in the manga. He shakes hands with Beryl, and later on he relays that to Porta, the leading guy, like the front man of this little squad, and he says, when I shook hands with him, it's like as if his hands were made of stones. It's like his grip so hard. It's like as if he's made of stone. And then the guy even says like it scared the s out of me, which is another cool factor, because later on, which is the last remarkable panel in the manga that comes to my mind regarding the storytelling or the character depth related to Barrel. It's basically when he goes to the blacksmith. The blacksmith already knows him. I think the anime actually portrays this. It shows this scene where the Balter, I think, he was training with Barrel. He trained with Barrel within the same time frame as Ficel and Kurini or Kelni both trained. So I think that the anime shows this, but it does not show. And I remember this because I watched the anime and it does not show the scene, and remember this scene clear as day, back from the first time that I have read it. That's why I'm saying that these are things that were left out, but they are very striking. They are really cool panels that I think that should be shown. He shakes hands with Beryl because he can actually tell a person's strength through their grip, sort of. He's such an experienced blacksmith that he can tell someone's proficiency with the sword, etc., just through a handshake. And when he does it with Kurin, he imagines like a big bull, like a really big, strong bull, and he even tells her that she got stronger, etc., etc. But when he shakes hands with Beryl, it's like it's these giant hand and like tentacles, like a kraken with swords, just coming for him, and he remains silent for the next panels, and it's a really cool scene because again, it shows how the depth of how much Beryl trained or how good he is as a swordsman. And when he shakes hands, he remains silent. He doesn't really tell Beryl anything. It's like just shakes it off. I think it says some random line and all that, to dodge the conversation. And then later on, he thinks to himself, "I better make a blade who's worthy of such a monster." And these differences are, I think, they're kind of sad because it's a bunch of scenes that are really cool and, in my opinion, should have been animated. Even if for a couple of frames, I guess. I know that animating it's complicated, despite a lot of people talking about. People usually talk about things that they don't understand or they have no idea how it works or how complex it is to perform, to create, to develop, etc. Like I'm not an expert either. I knew some people who did animations. I know some people who draw, and etc. So it's actually very complex and exhausting business. So maybe they thought that, the studio thought, well, this isn't really necessary. It's not going to contribute much. But I think that sometimes, yeah, I agree. Some scenes are like unnecessary, but I think that there's a there's like a balance that you gotta find between not animating this because I think it's not worth it, and animating too much, and which then shows a bunch of things that are actually worthless. And then you have the current season of One Punch Man, which is, I mean, it's not enough animation, I guess. But yeah, just wanted to talk about this. I'll see you all in the next recommendation.